Right now at noon, history is made during the first round of the 2023 NFL Draft.
And while the clouds at ground level, also known as fog, have cleared out, clouds overhead increasing ahead of some incoming rain. We're going to talk about that and the warmer temperatures coming up.
It's been 70 years since Britain's last coronation. We hear stories from those who attended the 1953 event.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Round 1 is complete as the NFL Draft enters day 2 in Kansas City. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. The NFL has drafted college football players every year since 1936, but this year's draft had something we've never seen before. 3 of the first 4 picks last night were black quarterbacks: Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, and Anthony Richardson. And for a team that already has a star black quarterback, the reigning champs, the Kansas City Chiefs, made their first selection. The Chiefs selected the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, as the final pick of the first round. As Dana Jacobson reports, it was a historic moment for a league that, for much of its history, did not have black quarterbacks.
With the first pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Bryce Young.
For Alabama's Bryce Young, it was a dream come true. The Crimson Tide quarterback, now the school's first player to be drafted first overall in the modern era.
As amazing as a moment this is, I'm going to try to live in this moment. I can't wait to get to work and start building off of it.
History was made again moments later.
The Houston Texans select C.J. Stroud.
Surrounded by family, the Ohio State signal caller burst into tears with his selection. He and Young becoming the first 2 black quarterbacks to be taken as the top 2 picks in the NFL Draft.
I'm a living testimony that you can really do anything because I come from nothing. So I'm blessed to be on this stage.
But history was still in the making.
The Indianapolis Colts select Anthony Richardson.
When the 4th pick, Florida's Anthony Richardson, took the stage, it marked the first time 3 black quarterbacks have been selected in the NFL Draft's top 10. We spoke to Richardson earlier this week, who says the draft is just the beginning.
Get my name called, that's just the beginning of it. I'm going to work until I'm in the Hall of Fame and I'm Super Bowl MVP like those guys.
These guys still have to go out there and prove that they're worthy of the draft selection.
Jonathan Jones is the lead NFL insider for CBS Sports.
When we're talking about breaking barriers, just because you're the first, you want there to be more that come after you. What we want to see more of is that this does become commonplace.
Dana Jacobson, CBS News.
Well, the NFL Draft opened by honoring 3 other young men who dedicated their lives to football: Lavelle Davis, Deshaun Perry, and Devin Chandler, the 3 Virginia football players who were killed in a campus shooting last November. Well, Mother Nature could be sending us another round of rain tonight. Chris Warner joins us with a first look at the forecast.
Yeah, we wanted to pull up each of the MoDOT cameras that we were showing you this morning because now you can clearly see as I just said. It's noon and it's a Friday, so bear with me. But you can see the traffic, you can see the roads, you can see what's going on in much better situation than what we had early this morning. Same from our camera at 7th and Range Line in Joplin. But even though we're clear down below, we look up above and we've got incoming clouds ahead of some additional rain chances across the area. KDOT camera 69 and 400 also quite clear as well. There's a look at those rain showers. Not all of this immediately reaching the ground, but you can see there's that leg that the future track showed kind of developing right along the Kansas-Oklahoma border that's stretching out, and then a bigger batch of showers out to our west. All of that moving our direction. Yesterday started at 48, only made it up to 57, so our low was right about on par, but that high nowhere near where it's supposed to be. Quick look at temperatures: 63 Iola Chinook, 59 Oswego, 62 Pittsburgh, 61 in Miami and Joplin, and 60 in Carthage. Here's a look at what we're keeping an eye on. Obviously, we've got that rain on the way. We have a relatively pleasant and somewhat mild weekend ahead of us, and we will see a warm-up next week. We'll talk about when that rain's going to get here and how our weekend looks, as well as that warm-up here in just a few more minutes. Tanya?
All right, thanks. Thanks, Chris. The former vice president testifies before a federal grand jury. Mike Pence testified before the Washington, D.C. grand jury as part of the special counsel's investigation into former President Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. The VP testified for more than 7 hours on Thursday. Federal appeals court rejected former President Trump's last-minute bid to block Pence's testimony earlier this week. Russia launches its deadliest air attacks at targets in Ukraine in nearly 2 months. The Russian military fired a barrage of cruise missiles and drones against cities across Ukraine, killing at least 16 people. The attacks come amid signs Ukraine is preparing to launch a major counteroffensive this spring. When King Charles is crowned next weekend, it will be Britain's first coronation in 70 years. A U.S. veteran from Georgia is among those who witnessed the celebration for Queen Elizabeth II in 1953. CBS's Tina Kraus brings us his memories and others from London.
You can tell they have weathered over the years.
The images may have faded, but Max Hancock's memories of Britain's last coronation are still sharp.
At that time, I was 19 years old.
The Georgia resident was stationed in England with the U.S. Air Force in 1953 and remembers taking a train into London with his comrades on the day of Queen Elizabeth's coronation.
And it was packed with people. There was 1 million+ people.
A day of rejoicing for Her Majesty's subjects.
Seeing that parade, seeing the enthusiasm, I knew I was seeing something special.
One of my big memories is how joyful it all was. There was a lot of laughter.
90-year-old Joyce Lewis has photos from a coronation tea with her friends.
People were expecting a really grand occasion, and a grand occasion it was.
The climax of the ceremony has arrived.
81-year-old James Wilkinson had a front row seat for the crowning as a Westminster Abbey choir boy.
When the Archbishop lifted up the crown on right up high and then lowered it onto the Queen's head, I knew this was going to be a thing I should never forget.
It's a moment also seared into the memory of Prince Charles, who was just 4 at the time. 7 decades later, the 74-year-old will be crowned king. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
Well, King Charles will be the 40th reigning monarch to be crowned at London's Westminster Abbey next Saturday, May 6th. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, planning a beach vacation to the Sunshine State? Did you know Florida leads the world in shark attacks? We look into the high likelihood behind why it won't happen to you. And later, we're making a very ugly pie in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. We have breaking news out of Northeast Oklahoma. The State Department of Corrections confirms that Ronnie Busick, the man sentenced in relation to the 1999 disappearance of Laura Bible and Ashley Freeman in Welch, is scheduled for release May 19th. In 2020, Busick pleaded guilty to accessory to murder. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison. The Department of Corrections spokesperson says Busick's release next month is due to time served while spending county jail and receiving credit for time served at an accelerated rate. We'll have more information at KOAMnewsnow.com and tonight at 5 p.m. Well, sharks have a reputation for being one of the scariest fish in the sea, and Florida was recently named the shark bite capital of the world. But how much do we really need to fear sharks? Christian Benavides dives into that question.
Florida native Forrest Crook now looks a former fear right in the eyes. The 68-year-old is swimming just above a bull shark, and that's me next to him, shark snorkeling.
When I decided to do this, it was one of those things that I thought, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm not afraid.
You got to get the right shark, the right conditions.
Ryan Walton runs Shark Tours Florida in Riviera Beach.
Hell yeah!
Taking the curious and courageous straight to the sharks.
People fear what they don't understand. Once people understand sharks and what sharks are about, it's easy to coexist with them.
Fear of sharks is at least partly driven by headlines like those proclaiming Florida the global shark bite capital. Last year, there were 57 unprovoked shark bites worldwide, 16 in Florida. Of all the attacks, 5 were fatal.
The truth is, you're far more likely to die by a lightning strike or be killed by a cow than from encountering a shark.
Most of these bites aren't really dangerous at all.
Marine biologist Mike Heithaus says shark bites are usually a case of mistaken identity.
They see a hand flash and it looks like a fish that they might eat.
Experts say you can minimize the risk of a shark encounter by swimming with a buddy closer to shore and avoiding the water at night. Advice Crooks says he's followed each of the 14 times he's now been swimming with the sharks. Cristian Benavides, CBS News, Riviera Beach, Florida.
In fact, falling coconuts are thought to be more deadly to humans than sharks. Interesting. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
It's National Blueberry Pie Day, so I suggest you grab a fork and join me as we celebrate in a tasty way.
Well, the fog is gone, but clouds overhead continuing to build as rain showers move into the area. Take a look at that forecast when we come back. Well, we've had a break in the shower activity as we expected through the morning, but we also had to deal with some extraordinarily dense fog. A number of areas reporting zero visibility through the morning hours, but the good news is that fog has since burned off just in time to be replaced by some additional clouds and rain starting to move into the area. Now, as we've mentioned all week long, this rain has been very essential, is very essential, because we still have those extreme drought conditions, especially over portions of southeast Kansas. I mean, earlier this week, we did a story in Chanute talking about their 11 to 13 inches below where they should be. And this rain helping, but isn't going to make up for that just yet. You can see that little finger starting to extend right along the Kansas-Oklahoma border. Some of this not reaching the ground yet, but most of this back this direction to the west is, and that will continue to be the case as the evening progresses. So here come those showers. They're really starting to pick up right around the Wichita area between Wichita, Oklahoma City on I-35 and back to the southwest, and this will continue to make its way into our area over the next couple of 3 hours. As we look at the future track, here's what we're looking at by 2 o'clock. More rain starting to roll into the area. By 5, that batch out to the west really gets organized into much better rainfall, much heavier rainfall in some cases, and there could even be a rumble of thunder or two out there. And that will continue by 9 o'clock, more widespread showers, and again, maybe a thunderstorm or two. However, as we head into the overnight hours, that activity starts to fall apart, and we'll start to see these showers and rumbles of thunder exit the area. By sunrise, some of us still having some cloud cover, but all of us seeing the rain exit out of the area to give us a fairly decent weekend before we'll see additional rain chances heading into next week. So here we go. Rain chances again picking up this afternoon. They'll stay that way into the early overnight, and then as we head into tomorrow morning, that all begins to change. Let's take a look at the 7th and range line. You can see we've got the cloud cover out there, and we at least don't have the fog anymore, and that is definitely good news. And that 20th and range line, same thing. We can actually see from the MoDOT camera there, looking back off to the south, you can see the roads, you can see the cars. Couldn't see any of that this morning. And same with the KDOT camera at 69 and 400. Much better views out there. We had some sunshine, but that is beginning to be obscured by the cloud cover. Sitting at 60 in Joplin, variable breeze at about 3 miles an hour out there, and visibility now 10 miles instead of 0. 61 in Pittsburgh, mostly cloudy, calm winds out there, and of course the rain continuing to move into the area. 63 Iola Chanute, 55 Independence. You can see where some of the areas have actually picked up some rain compared to those who haven't. 60 Veneta, 61 Miami, 60 in Neosho Carthage, and 64 in Nevada. Heading into the afternoon, most of us still looking to make those highs mid to upper 60s. Then we'll see those showers, maybe a couple of thunderstorms. We go through the evening, again, a couple of rumbles of thunder, no strong or severe storms, dropping back down into the upper 40s overnight. And then tomorrow, once the clouds clear, we'll get sunshine out there, and we've got a pretty decent day lined up for us. Let's take a look at that. Mid 60s, maybe some upper 60s. Lower 60s on Sunday, but sunny skies. Showers Monday and Tuesday, and maybe some thunderstorms Thursday and Friday. But take a look at those temperatures. Finally back to normal as we get back to the mid-70s heading through next week. And next weekend looking pretty good as well. So we need the rain, absolutely need the rain. I have no problem with the rain, but I'd like those temperatures to get back up there to that normal range.
Well, I don't know. 60s isn't bad. I'm not going to complain. It's a little weird for this time of year. It feels like it's a little low. Maybe if we could keep all the lows in the 50s.
That would be nice as well.
That'd be nice. 50s and then lower 60s. I'll take that.
Absolutely.
There we go. All right, thanks, Chris. Well, coming up, we are going to be making a berry ugly pie in honor of National Blueberry Pie Day after the break. If you love blueberries, today is the day for you. Howard mixes together a berry ugly pie in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Did you know that today is National Blueberry Pie Day? And to celebrate it, we're making a blueberry pie that's very unique, quite tasty, and super easy. The only thing is, some people gave it a quirky nickname, and I'm curious to see if you agree with them. We start off by combining some blueberries, a bit of biscuit baking mix, granulated sugar, a couple of eggs, softened butter, a can of evaporated milk, and a splash of vanilla in a blender. We blend this until it's smooth, which takes just seconds. Now we pour this into a bowl and add even more whole fresh blueberries. See, I told you this wasn't going to be your typical blueberry pie. Okay, this goes into a pie plate and gets baked for about an hour. Once it cools, we can top it with some whipped cream and a few extra berries, and it's time to dig in. And about that quirky nickname, although it's one of the most flavorful blueberry pies you'll ever eat, it has a funny color. So when people called it ugly, we weren't insulted, but rather we thought it was funny. So we named it Berry Ugly Pie. And like always, you can find it on our website. What do you think?
That's ugly.
Try it. Fine. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a very unusual way for you to say, ooh, it's so good. See it.
Now here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
All right, so we've got those rain showers coming in this evening, maybe a couple of thunderstorms lasting through the overnight till about 3, 4 o'clock tomorrow morning. Pretty decent weekend otherwise, 60s, partly cloudy skies, more showers Monday, Tuesday. Warming up next week, mid-70s by Thursday with some additional thunderstorm chances.
All right, well, coming up tonight at 5, it's World Immunization Week, raising awareness about what federal health officials call the life-saving power of vaccine. Plus, a multi-million-dollar project to expand Kansas Highway 7. We hear from a Crawford County commissioner on the timeline for the widening project. And Columbus Elementary kids win prizes after raising more than $7,000 for St. Jude's. Join us for those stories and more tonight on the KOAM News at 5.
And thank you so much for joining us for the news at noon.
We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.